On a cold evening, an old man sat shivering on a park bench. Dozens of people walked by, pretending not to see him. A young boy noticed and quietly gave the man his small jacket. The man smiled through his tears and whispered, "Thank you, son. You're the first to care." The next morning, the boy came back. The man was gone, but a small note was left. "Your kindness warmed more than just my body. Even the smallest act of help can light up someone's darkest moment." The boy once saw his father cleaning his old grandfather's shoes every morning. He laughed and said, "Why do you bother? He's too old to even go out." His father quietly replied, "Someday you'll understand." Years later, when the father grew old, the same boy noticed his own son throwing his shoes away. In that moment, he realized respect is not taught by words, it's passed by actions. And tears fell as he whispered, "Now I understand, Dad. Respect your elders. One day you'll walk in their shoes." In a quiet village lived a boy named Henry. He always thought happiness would arrive someday, when he had new clothes, new friends, or a better life. Every night he prayed for something to change. One morning, Henry visited an old man who lived alone at the edge of the village. The old man smiled and said, "Son, I lost my family, my home, and even my strength, but I never lost my smile. Happiness isn't something we wait for, it's something we create." Henry looked around. The old man had almost nothing, just a broken chair, a small lamp, and a warm smile. And suddenly, Henry realized he had been waiting for a tomorrow that might never come, while ignoring the simple joys of today. As he walked back home, he whispered, "Maybe happiness wasn't far. Maybe I just wasn't noticing." Happiness starts when you stop waiting and start noticing. I used to walk the same dusty road to school every morning. The sun felt heavy, and the path seemed endless. I thought the hard part was the heat. One day, the road was blocked, so I took a narrow trail behind the fields. It was longer and rough, but the breeze was cool and the trees whispered above me. I reached school late but calm. That's when I learned something simple. The easier path isn't always the one that lifts the weight you carry. Sometimes the detour is the real relief.
Little Niran saved one candy every day to share with his best friend, Amal. But Amal had moved away months ago, and Niran still kept the routine, hoping his friend would return. One evening, Niran saw a small boy crying on the roadside. Without thinking, he gave him the very last candy he'd been saving. The boy's face lit up with a smile, and Niran felt a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. That night he finally understood. Holding on to the past hurts, but sharing kindness heals.
The flood took everything, his house, his phone, and the road back home. When the signal finally returned days later, his phone buzzed with one unread message. It was from his father. "Son, the water is rising. I'm waiting for you." The message was sent 3 days ago. He fell to his knees, clutching the silent phone, realizing he had ignored the call to finish his work first. Now, there would be no reply. Never postpone love. Some messages are meant to be answered immediately. The rain would not stop. Villages were sinking underwater and fear filled the air. From the dark clouds above, a rescue helicopter flew low, carrying food, medicine, and hope. Inside was a pilot who had flown thousands of hours, but never once turned away from danger. As he guided the helicopter towards stranded families, something went wrong. The machine lost control. Below, people had gathered near a bridge, praying for safety. In those final moments, the pilot made a choice, not for himself, but for everyone else. He turned the helicopter away from the crowd and into the open water. The people survived, his team survived, but the hero did not. Today, the floods are slowly fading, but his courage will never be forgotten. Some heroes don't wear capes. They fly into storms. In a small classroom far from Russia and Palestine, a boy named Sammy sat by the window listening to news whispers adults try to hide. He didn't understand politics, borders, or power. He only understood that somewhere, children like him were losing homes, schools, and the chance to live without fear. One day he asked his teacher, "Why do they suffer when they did nothing wrong?" The teacher paused, smiled sadly, and said, "Because the world sometimes forgets that every child deserves peace." That night, Sammy wrote a note. "When grown-ups fight, it's always the kids who pay the price." He folded it and placed it in a globe on his desk, wishing the world could read it. Even when conflicts feel far away, the pain always lands closest to the innocent, and the world must remember them first. In a small village, a boy named Ravi sat outside his school every day. He never went in. His father had fallen ill, and Ravi spent his mornings working instead of learning. One evening, Ravi watched his old teacher walk past. The teacher stopped and asked, "Why aren't you inside?" Ravi smiled softly and said, "Books don't feed my family." Years passed. The school grew bigger. The village grew richer. Ravi stayed the same. One day, a young officer came to help the village. It was Ravi's teacher's student. Ravi realized then, education may not feed you today, but it gives you the power to change tomorrow. Ravi always said, "Tomorrow, tomorrow to study, tomorrow to help his father, tomorrow to chase his dream." Days passed quietly. His father waited by the door each evening, hoping Ravi would sit beside him. Ravi never did. Time felt endless. Then one morning, the house felt empty. His father was gone. The chair by the door stayed untouched. Ravi rushed through books now, desperate to learn. He worked harder than ever, but the moments he needed most were already gone. No apology could reach the past. No effort could buy back a single minute. He finally understood the silence time had left behind. Time doesn't argue. It doesn't warn twice. Time devours those who devour time. Every morning I watched the old bridge. People rushed over it, eyes down, late for something. I crossed it too, counting days, waiting for change. One evening, a crack appeared in the rail. Small, easy to ignore. The next day it was wider. No one stopped. I did. I tied my shoelace through the gap as a marker. A week later, workers closed the bridge. They said a child had noticed it first. It was me, but younger. I learned this. Progress isn't the leap. It's the pause that lets you see. When the crowd at Bondi Beach gathered to celebrate, laughter echoed across the sand. No one expected danger to arrive so suddenly. In the midst of the panic, people ran, calling out for their loved ones. But one man didn't run. Ahmed had no weapon, no armor, only courage. He saw fear in the eyes of strangers, and without thinking of himself, he stepped forward. With shaking hands and a heart full of determination, he confronted the attacker. His brave act stopped the violence and protected countless lives. As sirens filled the air, people whispered his name with tears in their eyes. They knew he had given everything he could. Heroes are not the ones with power. They are the ones who choose to protect others, even when they are afraid. You too have dreams. Think about which of these dreams is the most valuable to you. I will tell you how to find out. When you tell others about one of your dreams, they will laugh. In other words, what others think you can never do. Make it your dream. Then you can work hard for it. You will fail, you will fall, you will be hindered, but you will get up, because everyone who has achieved success in this world has failed. Have a big dream. Work for it. On a cold Christmas Eve, a young boy sat by the window, watching other houses glow with lights and laughter. His family had little. No tree, no gifts, only silence and hope. He whispered a small prayer, not for toys, but for his parents to smile again. That night, his mother placed a simple candle on the table. His father held his hand and said, "Even when we have nothing, love is enough." The boy smiled. In that warm moment, he understood the true gift of Christmas: love, togetherness, and kindness that costs nothing but means everything. And just as the candle flickered brighter, a joyful voice echoed softly. At 11:59 p.m. on the last day of 2025, the world was counting down. Fireworks, smiles, celebrations everywhere. But in one quiet room, a girl sat staring at the floor, thinking, 2025 took everything from me. Her phone buzzed. Unknown caller. She hesitated, then answered. A calm voice said, "Did you learn the lesson?" She whispered, "What lesson?" The voice replied, "You're still breathing, you're still standing, that means you passed." The clock struck 12 o'clock. The call ended. On her screen appeared the date, January 1st, 2026. She smiled for the first time in months. Life promotes those who don't quit. May the new year bring peace, healing, and hope to every heart in the world.
Once, there was a young
In a quiet town, an old man named Sam sat every evening with his old chessboard, waiting for someone to play. Years ago, he was a chess champion. He taught his son John how every move in chess and in life matters. But as John grew up, he got busy. "Dad, I have work to do," he said one day, leaving the board mid-game. Sam smiled and said softly, "Life is also a chess game, son. If you move too fast, you might lose what matters most." Years later, John returned home. His father was gone. On the table sat the same chessboard and a note that read, "Your move, son." Tears filled John's eyes. He moved his piece, but there was no one left to play. In life, don't rush to win. Remember the players who made you love the game. A sudden flood hit the village without warning. Many homes were swept away, and some villagers lost their lives. Those who survived were left with nothing. Their houses, neighbors, and even relatives were gone. For a moment, the village felt broken, but the survivors didn't let the tragedy end their story. Together, they cleaned the debris, rebuilt damaged houses, shared food, and supported each other with kindness and strength. Day by day, the village slowly came back to life. In the end, Riverbend stood stronger than before because its people chose hope over fear and unity over loss. When people stand together, even the biggest tragedy can be overcome. In the misty hills of Pasara, Gunapala lived a simple, happy life with his small family. But one night of heavy rain changed everything. A sudden landslide buried their home, trapping the helpless family under thick mud. Surrounded by darkness, hunger, and fading air, only one thing kept them alive. Hope. Gunapala whispered to his son, "The soldiers will come." After 3 terrifying days, the sound of rescue machines broke the silence. At last, brave army soldiers pulled them out alive. Their home was gone, but their lives were saved. In times of disaster, hope and human sacrifice can overcome even death. Our soldiers are true heroes. In a small house lived a boy named Aaron, who loved spending time with his mother. But as years passed, she got busier working with advanced AI systems. Aaron would sit beside her, holding his drawings, waiting for her attention. One evening, he whispered, "Mommy, can I show you something?" Without looking up from her holographic screen, she replied, "Later, Aaron. I'm working." Days turned into weeks. Aaron stopped asking. One night, she finally finished early and went to his room. He was sleeping, his drawings scattered on the floor. Each picture showed the two of them together, something he'd wished for, but rarely got. Tears filled her eyes as she realized she had all the smartest machines in the world. But she was losing the one human heart who needed her the most. Technology can make life easier, but only love, time, and kindness keep us truly connected.